Hello, everybody, and welcome to an exciting edition of Braddock Media's Toy and Collectible Reviews. This week's episode, I get to showcase a really rare Comiquette Scarlet Witch statue from Sideshow Collectible and Toys. Thank you, Cherry Bomb Toys at 1410 Broad Street in Victoria, BC, for lending me this statue to review. On this week's episode, we're going to cover over the different sides of this box art. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Scarlet Witch and her backstory, give you a breakdown of all the different pieces on this amazingly rare piece, and then you get to see an incredible 360 video of all the different angles of this statue. So stay tuned and let's check out this box art.
Oh.
The caption before this is definitely spot on. This is a sexy box, and that's also because the Scarlet Witch has such an incredibly provocative costume, yet she's not really a super provocative character, but that's women's costumes in comics, and we all know that. So, front of the box here in box art, let's check this out. Again, this is the non-exclusive, so it doesn't have it down here, any type of, shiny sticker that lets us know that. It's super adorable. This is actually a little remote for the Vision that she's kind of controlling because Vision's a robot. This is actually really beautiful. I like the Comiquettes. For some reason, Comiquettes and the dioramas seem to have a lot more information on their boxes, which is kind of interesting. So I'll just kind of show you the side here. So just another side shot of her, a little bit angled off the side. The back here, you get a better shot of the full statue with Vision. And this is actually a really thin box for such a massive statue, which is kind of a little bit odd. And, getting it all in there is definitely interesting. This is nice because they actually give you her backstory, which I'll kind of go into a little bit more here on the box. But then, of course, with comics, it's always evolving. So there's actually some twists and stuff that are not on this box that I'll tell you about in a minute. This side here is just a little bit more up close from the other side shot. And the reason they did this, obviously, is if it's stacked sideways, because it's such a thin box, you're going to really be able to see what the statue is. And yeah, she's just so amazing. Like, what a great costume. But yes, I'm really, really digging this statue. It's already, the box art is beautiful. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the backstory of the Scarlet Witch. Wanda, 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 where are you? So the name of the character behind the Scarlet Witch is Wanda Maximoff. And where they originally started out, we're going to kind of jump back into this storyline. 1964 is where they debuted in the X-Men comics. This was Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's creation. These two characters, they were twins, so she has a twin brother named Quicksilver. And they were originally created because Stan Lee wanted to kind of have, similar to Spider-Man, where you have somebody who struggles between like good and bad, and that way they could cross over all these different comic books. And there's major crossovers coming up between X-Men and Avengers, and she is a character that I think was a little bit downplayed in the Avengers movies, and I'll get into that when we get closer to that part of the storyline. So Parenthood, crazy storylines here. Originally, they think that their father is Wizard, who, because of his speed and Quicksilver, and that's how they tie it in. And then later on, they find out that Magneto's their father and that their mother ran away from him. And the High Evolutionary, I think is his name, is the Wizard who ends up giving their mother magic and then also manipulating them. A newer storyline that came out, I think in 2015, which was the Uncanny Avengers. And there was a storyline that came out where it's actually like they were adopted by the Maximoff family, but now they completely changed their parentage in this storyline by making it that they were kidnapped by the High Evolutionary, and then like from the Maximoffs, they didn't know that their kids were missing, and then he genetically and magically altered them because he's now some kind of mad scientist. I mean, I guess he was always kind of a mad scientist slash magician. So they were actually not mutants. For the longest time, both her and her brother were considered mutants. They were considered Magneto's children, and that threw a lot of people off when we got into the new Avengers movies. Still going back a little bit. It's just a weird kind of the way that they kind of manipulated it. And sometimes that kind of sucks a little bit in storylines, especially with a character that's been around since 1964. Really neat way that they've tied it in. Like they end up leaving Magneto and go like they Magneto gets taken away during a storyline. I won't go into that, but they feel like they've kind of like paid their dues to him. So they actually go and join the Avengers. And then there's a lot of like them leaving the Avengers and coming back to the Avengers. She ends up falling in love with Vision, which is why Vision, there's a little robot Vision here. It's a really interesting storyline because everyone was super against it. Hawkeye because he was in love with her, and everyone just because he was a robot, and they just didn't think that, that was going to work. This really comes into the tragedy of women in comics as well in this storyline, because with Vision, she creates children magically through her cell, and the children actually end up being shards of this other character, and he ends up absorbing her children, and it's really awful and tragic. And then her mind is taken, away, like her memories of her children, and then she gets them back, and it's a huge tragedy again. So kind of like double whammy on, losing your kids. And it's a pretty brutal storyline. When she did have her twins, though, it was kind of cool because she did go over and join the West Coast Avengers, and I'm a West Coast girl. So it was really neat to have her kind of evolve in that storyline of the West Coast Avengers. And she ended up running them. And then there was a couple other factions that she ran after the disassembled Avengers. Rambling a little bit, this is hard to kind of capture all of this storyline in one go. But yes, Vision, she ends up having this Wonder Boy, I think, or Wonder Man. Wonder Man has this kind of weird love thing where it's like Wonder Man, Vision, Wonder Man, and they kind of... But Vision always wins in the end, so it'll be interesting to see in the Avengers movie if they bring that side of it in. And there was a little bit of tension between Vision and her, so they might be going down that road, which would be interesting. So yes, they weren't mutants, they were regular children now in the storyline, and they're still... people who just kind of want to think that they're Magneto's kids, because that has been kind of put into the storylines as well. But it works. I mean, realistically, with the new Avengers movie, not realistically, but with the storyline of the new Avengers movie, they are, genetically turned people / mutants kind of thing. And they've kind of gone more on that storyline that's more from 2015. So it's going to be interesting to see the progression of the two of them. It kind of super sucks that they killed off Quicksilver. That would have been nice to have had that more of a progression, but I guess somebody has to die in a movie sometimes, and he's in a way the B-rated player, and now because of the X-Men franchise, they can't really, and having Quicksilver, who is just fantastic, he is probably the coolest Quicksilver they could have gotten, they can't cross those storylines anymore, which is really unfortunate, because they kind of could have that, and they could have brought Magneto and him into it, and it would have been really interesting because the age between those actors is fairly similar. So bummer, super sucks on that side of it. So I think I covered most of everything. I can't remember what it's called on her head. It's a tipple, or like kind of from the Renaissance Italian era, which is what's on her face and head here. So I think that covers a lot of the storyline of Scarlet Witch. Again, tragedy, love, lots of cool things. She is also the mother of creation in a way. All of her powers are stemmed from the earth. That's something that I didn't really cover. Doctor Strange and Xavier actually try to squash it, because in one of the crossovers she actually rids the mutant genome from existence by just 3 simple words of "no more mutants," which is like really intense and powerful. She is probably considered in a way higher than Jean Grey Phoenix, maybe, but it took Xavier and Doctor Strange to actually put her into this like catatonic state, and even that didn't hold her. So she's a pretty intense cookie, and I think she's really underrated just because of the sexy costume, and a lot of people don't really get to know this side of how incredible she is. So yes, she kind of manipulates, she can manipulate different dimensions. Hexes are what they're called, is what she does, similar to Strange. And yeah, really neat powers and really neat storyline. Her nanny was a cow human, which was, yes, kind of Bova. And which, of course, is kind of Bova. Yeah, I was really surprised for some weird reason when I found out it was a cow person. So that's the Scarlet Witch. Now let's head over and check out the breakdown of this incredible statue. So no, I did not just go home and get changed just so I could do breakdown. Unfortunately, there were some microphone issues, And I had to come back today and record this, which is totally fine with me because this statue deserves more attention, and I'm kind of glad I get a little bit more time with her. Beautiful. I'm not sure if I can't remember if I talked about what makes it the exclusive in the other parts I recorded yesterday, but the exclusive is an art print. Hopefully, you're seeing a really nice shot of it up here because the only one I could find yesterday was a really bad photo on eBay. And if you're seeing a really bad photo from eBay, I'm really sorry, but that's the only one I could find. This is the non exclusive version, but I do like to let people know what makes the difference. The first part we're going to address is the head. The head is one solid piece. It connects right here in the jawline with a magnet. A little bit tricky to put in. It's a really thin neck post, which normally it's a little bit opposite of that, but it's really great. Here's the front shot of her face. Her expression is to die for. It's fantastic. The paint job on her makeup and her eyes, everything is so well done. This whole statue is so well detailed and they've nailed everything on it. The face shield actually looks like metal, which is really impressive because that's not an easy thing to do, especially with all the different textures that you have going on in this statue, which we'll address as we go through the different pieces. You can see the back of her hair here. Her hair is plastic, which is a little odd, but that's okay. It really looks incredible from all different angles that you look at it. The little swip of the hair here, less chance of it breaking, I guess, and a little bit more light. But the rest of it is polystone, everything that I've been feeling so far. Even the gloves. Oh no, the gloves are actually plastic, so probably her little joystick is as well. But he is fully polystone, and we'll get to him in a minute. So yes, those are both sides of the head. The head is really gorgeous. The next piece on her is her cape. It actually kind of sits into the clavicle here and then rests on the base down below. Here's a back shot. That's the best part of the cape right there. I mean, the front's pretty cool, but the back just looks so beautiful, and it kind of reminds me of Spawn at the same time, which is hilarious. But I love the way the artist had it, so you can actually see her butt cracks through the cape. Obviously, like, this is really going for the sex appeal on this statue for sure. The front of the cape is okay, but what I don't like about it is just down inside this area behind Vision. It's really clumpy and chunky, and I guess they had to do that to make it so it's a solid piece that sits on the stand, but it doesn't look as nice. I would have liked to have had it a little bit more up and off the ground like they did with the Dazzler they did way back in the day. Or was it Cloak and Dagger? No, Cloak and Dagger, sorry. Really great job on that cape, on that statue. But yes, so the front of it's still very beautiful. I love the way that this kind of comes up. They've kept a lot of the cartoonish, like, realism in her face, but then cartoonish when it comes down to this part of the statue. And beautiful, really beautiful. The next two pieces are her arm pieces. They actually slot in, just checking my microphone because that's what we had problems with last time. Right here in the arm where her gloves are is where both arms pop out. There's two pieces, they're magnets, and they're quite strong. And we'll start with the left arm. This is the one controlling the joystick. And then below it, I'll show you a picture of the right arm, which is the one holding the joystick. And I like how they match the colors of the joystick down to Vision, and Vision is just so adorable. Her expression on her face, everything is so good on this statue. It's so amazing. I love it. The next piece on her is her body, is one solid piece. Here's a kind of more shot of the bustier. Obviously the boobs, they're pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. But what I really dig about this is, as I said, every bit of detail. You have the face shield that looks like metal, you have the bustier, and now here's a shot of the boots. The boots and the bustier actually look like patent leather. This is probably the best paint job I've ever seen on a costume like this when it comes to that sheer and shine. This is so glossy and so epically put together. It is really, really fantastic. Just the difference in colors. Like, I mean, her gloves and her bustier, and then the cape is a fully different red spectrum, but spectrum coloration, but it looks really incredible the way that they've really just pieced this all in. Plus, Vision's face shield is actually even just a little bit more red, and that's hard to take those different paints and get the right colors to just pop and come out. And whoever was in charge of this paint job, they nailed everything. I've shown you the shots of her boots here. Just stunning and beautiful and incredible. I love it. I want these boots. I love everything about this statue. I know I just keep saying that, but I'm gushing. It doesn't happen a whole lot. I mean, I do geek out over my statues, but this I have to own at some point because it is so perfect. The next piece, of course, is Vision, the little robot android version of Vision down here. He's all polystone and he is adorable as F. Like, he is just so cute. Here's a shot of his face. I obviously can get a whole bit of him in here because he's so tiny, but just fantastic. He's so cute, and everything about the two of them, they just nailed this statue on every level. The base is something very different from what I've seen. It's almost got a reflective surface to it. That will be the only part that's a little frustrating. You're gonna see some smudges and some fingerprints. It's actually a little bit hard to get them off of there, and it's already dusty since yesterday when I reviewed her last night. So that's gonna be the hard one to keep this clean. You're gonna be dusting it a lot. Totally worth it. I mean, definitely I wouldn't complain to have that. And it's nice. It doesn't subtract from the statue. They wouldn't have needed to do anything crazier. Like, everything is just already there in the statue. So that is the breakdown. Those are all the different pieces. Here's another shot of the front of her, a little bit more up close. And now a shot of the back. So stay tuned for the 360 video. I'm not lying. It is probably the best video I've done so far on a statue, and it's so beautiful, and you'll get to really see what I'm talking about as opposed to the pictures and a little bit far away. And you also get to find out all the different artists and who did what on this statue. So see you then. If you enjoyed checking out this rare Scarlet Witch statue, make sure to click below and subscribe. I'm always getting new pieces in here on the show, and I don't want you to miss out. Leave a comment in the comments section, give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and share it on your social media platforms. I will see all of you next week.